everyone, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. This is Paul Alster here once again with your racing selections ahead of the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes weekend coming up on Saturday and Sunday. Well, some great racing ahead, absolutely no doubt about it. We have three selections, they're all on Saturday. Had a good look through Sunday ahead of the final declarations and nothing jumped out. And it was just the same case again once the declarations themselves were made Friday lunchtime. So nothing for Sunday, no point tipping anything if I don't really fancy it. But we have three very interesting and quite big prize selections, two of them at least, for Saturday. First, a very quick word about the selection on Thursday. That was Third Kingdom of John Gosden's. He ran a good race. He was just beaten a whisker for second place, held every chance over a furlong and a half out. Then he ran rather green, I thought, and had an awkward head carriage before putting his head down and running on nicely at the finish. I think he'll be a better prospect probably next time out. He could possibly prove to be an even better 3-year-old. He wasn't disgraced, but I thought he might win. As it was, he just missed out on second place, finishing third. Now, our other midweek selection was for Friday night's fixture at Ripon. So if you haven't already got involved, just to mention, you can see it on our previous bulletin, but the horse in question is called Côte d'Azur, and he goes in the last race of the night on Friday at Ripon for Les Ayres and Lewis Edmonds, and it's a decent price as well. But moving on to Saturday now, there's some very good racing across the three meetings. I'm going to start first of all with York, pickled pork, as we used to refer to it when I was on the racecourse. Well, good old Pickles stating plenty of races, 10 races on Saturday, and the feature race is at 2:40 on Saturday. It's the Group 2 York Stakes. Now, what a cracking lineup we have in this event with the likes of Telecaster, Regal Reality, King of Comedy, Aspetar, Fox Chairman and Lord Glitters. They're 6 very good horses, but the horse who won it last year was El Arcam. He's trained by Mark Johnston and he's ridden by Jim Crowley, and he's back to try and defend his crown. And I, for one, think that he's going to be able to do so. This is a very, very smart performer owned by Hamdan Al Maktoum, and in this race 12 months ago he beat a Dabe, who of course has gone on to carry all before him, including winning a couple of very big races in Australia. Now, he ran a really good race the time before last one, beaten just a short head by Lord North, did El Arcam, and that form was well and truly franked when Lord North went on to win the Group 1 Prince of Wales's stakes at Royal Ascot. El Arcam himself then ran at Ascot last time, but he went up to 1.5 miles and it was soft ground, and that just stretched his stamina too far. Now, I think dropping back to this optimum trip of his, the 1.25 miles on the flat galloping Knavesmire at York, it's going to be absolutely ideal. The trip, the ground, the race, everything's right for him, and he's offered at 5-2, which I think is a good price, with the likes of Bet Victor, Boyle Sports and 10Bet amongst others. So that's El Arcam on Saturday in the 2:40 at York, the Group 2 York Stakes. Now, our second selection is a little earlier on in the day on Saturday. It's across at Newmarket, where they staged 9 races, and they're racing, of course, on the July course now at HQ. And the race is a fiendishly difficult 6-furlong 3-year-old handicap. Now, because of Corona, of course, a lot of these 3-year-olds weren't seen until June. So the form still remains open to interpretation, and some of the horses are open to a great deal of improvement. Now, there are a number of unknown quantities here, and 1 or 2 very interesting contenders from big yards. But one of the horses that really does take my eye here is a horse called Illusionist, who used to be trained last season by Archie Watson, ran perfectly well for him, finished 5th in the Windsor Castle Stakes at Royal Ascot. So this is no slouch. Now, Illusionist was picked up by Yorkshire trainer Grant Tuer, and Grant has booked Shane Kelly for the ride. Now, there's 2 very interesting things here. Grant Tuer doesn't normally send his horses to take on the big guns at the Grade 1 tracks unless he thinks he has even half a chance. But also, he's never had Shane Kelly ride for him before, and I think this is a very significant jockey booking. He could have taken this horse to any sort of appropriate race in the north. I know he's got a rating of 90, but there are races there that he could have tackled that are much easier than this. So the fact that he's sending him down to take on some very promising horses suggests to me that they think they've got a horse to go to war with. And I think he's going to run really well, Illusionist, having run well already this season. He was 6 of 21 in a hot handicap at Royal Ascot, and then he was a good 4th over 5 furlongs at Pontefract last time. Now Pontefract is a really stiff 5 furlongs, it's like 6 furlongs anywhere else, so no surprise to me to see them stepping this horse up to 6 furlongs now, and I think he's going to go really well, and the general odds are at least 14 to 1, so he's an each way chance. And I think he's worth a bit of a squeak, this one. Illusionist is the horse, trained by Grant Tuer, the mount of Shane Kelly, and he goes in the 105 race at Newmarket on Saturday. Now, for our final selection, we go across to Ascot. Just before I come to this selection in the 150 race, I want to just say a quick word about the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes. This is one of the great races in the world. It's a race I've grown up on. The Grundy and Bustino battle, and for me no less brilliant, the battle between Nashwan and Cacoethes later on, and there's been many great races, including an Abel's victory in this race 12 months ago against Crystal Ocean. And Abel is back, but she faces only 3 rivals. Okay, there's last year's Derby winner Anthony van Dijk, and last year's Irish Derby winner, as well as the Monte International Stakes winner Japan, but it's a poor turnout of just 4 horses, even though they're all very high class. No 3-year-olds, which again takes a little bit away from the race, and this really is all down to Corona. But I still think Enable will win. She'll probably be 2 to 1 on, but she's not one that you can tip up as any sort of a great informed selection. I hope that next year the King George comes back to take its rightful place as the Midsummer Middle Distance Championship of Europe, because it is a truly wonderful race. But it would be great to see Enable produce a big performance against the likes of Japan, Sovereign and Anthony van Dijk, all of whom are trained by Aidan O'Brien. Let's go on though to the final selection then for Saturday, and it's in the 150 race, named after one of the all-time great jockeys, no longer with us unfortunately. It's the listed Pat Eddery Stakes. It's for 2-year-olds and it's over 7 furlongs. Now this race has been won by some good horses in the past. You may remember Cody Bear, who was a good horse for Clive Cox, and of course Richard Harron's Toronado was a real top-notch miler. Now this year's renewal has attracted some very good horses. We've got Tirasol, who was a 6 furlong winner at Epsom, Godolphit's horse, who was 3rd in a good race on debut. Then we have 1 or 2 other very good horses, including the horse that came 3rd in the Coventry Stakes, and one that came in the Group 2 Superlative Stakes, 4th in that for Roger Varian. But even though there are a couple of other horses that have both won their only starts, I'm interested in a horse from Scotland. Now, Summer Pito is the name of this horse, trained by Keith Dalgleish and the mount of Tom Marquand. Now, he's run twice. He was 2nd at Ayr over 6 furlongs in a 4-runner race on debut. Now, the winner has gone on to finish 3rd in a good listed race, and the horse that finished last of the 4 went on and bolted up by 3 lengths in a decent event next time. So that form was franked. And then when he ran last time at Ayr, he stepped up to 7 furlongs this summer, Pito, and it was in a match because there were a few withdrawals, and he ended up facing only March Law, the Mark Johnston horse. Now, a 2-runner race is normally no great spectacle, but if you get a chance to have a look at the video replay, this was an absolute cracking contest. And in the end, finishing well, Summer Pito failed by just a short head to beat March Law, who is a 95 rated horse, and the highest rated horse in the field at Ascot going into the race is rated 100, so by my ratings March Pito is officially rated 94. So he doesn't have to find a huge amount to be very competitive, and I think that the odds compilers have made a mistake here, because they've looked at the fact that he was 2nd in a 2-runner race and thought, well, that's rubbish, so there's no point considering him. But the form is actually good, because March Law came into the race on the back of some good performances He showed a good attitude to win, as did Samapito, and I know that the Johnston team think quite a lot of March Law. So I'm suggesting that Samapito may run very well and belie his odds. Now, at the time of this recording, he's offered at 25 to 1 each way. I think that is good value, and I'm prepared to risk a little bit on him, because Keith Dalgleish doesn't send horses to big races and ruin potentially a future handicap mark if he doesn't think they have a chance of really doing themselves justice. So for me, Samapito, 25 to 1 each way in the 150 at Ascot. That's to go with the 105 race there, in which we have Grant Tuer's Illusionist, 14 to 1 each way. And that's at Newmarket, I should say, in the 105 at Newmarket Illusionist. And in the day, a little bit later on at 2:40 at York, I'm taking Elacam at 5 to 2 to confirm the form with some very good horses and win the Group 2 York Stakes for the second year in succession. It promises to be a great day's racing on Saturday. There's some good racing on Sunday, although we're not tipping in that. Remember, if you're seeing this on Friday, we've tipped one in the last at Ripon on Friday evening at 8:25, that Côte d'Azur. So lots to get your teeth into over this weekend. Enjoy your racing. Let's hope we make a little bit of a profit at least. And I look forward to you joining me midweek next week for our midweek racing bulletin. Bye-bye for now.